when we think of survival skills, most of us think about things in the order of friction fire lighting, building a debris hut, finding water from the landscape. Those are all certainly critical life support components of wilderness survival. However, not many of us give due credit to the aspect of learning first aid. Now, the benefits of learning first aid are numerous. As a survival person, and if you consider yourself to be survival trained, you need to understand that survival training necessarily entails being competent at first aid. And I'm not talking about being qualified via a piece of paper. I'm talking about being proficient at performing life-saving first aid skills. So having one of these is essential. Knowing how to use it is even more important. And then beyond that, knowing how to expediently improvise the medicines and the bandages and other accoutrements necessary to treat someone effectively from expedient resources is even more important. Now, unfortunately, so many people who go out into the wilderness don't have conversant first aid skills. So if I could advise you in any direction particular, it would be, sure, learn survival skills. Sure, learn navigation skills. I think to be responsibly engaged in the outdoors, those are areas you should have confidence in being able to perform. But we always have to assume and be prepared to accept the reality that not one of us is immune from injury. And if that happens and we're out in one of those exciting adventurous activity spots, we could be a long way from significant medical care, which means it behoves us as the adventurers, as the person out there in that danger zone, which is so beautiful and so alluring, to make sure that we can look after ourselves and those we are travelling with. There are numerous places around the world offering fantastic first aid training, both remote area first aid, advanced first aid and senior first aid are all skill sets that you as an outdoors person should be getting across. Now, one of my skill sets, was when I was a professional soldier, was as a special forces medic. So we were essentially paramedic trained soldiers. That foundational level of knowledge I have been so grateful for, because that has given me the confidence to perform first aid in so many settings well outside the scope of my service in the military. I've assisted people at car crashes, I've assisted people who have just collapsed in shopping malls, and it is always surprising to me in those situations that I've looked around for help to get someone else to help me help this person, the casualty. So few people, A, are confident to do so or willing to do so, and the main reason is that they just don't know anything about first aid. So if you've got a family, if you've got people you love and care about, get yourself some first aid training. Make it the most comprehensive you can afford and get access to, and don't just park it. Don't just get the piece of paper that says I'm qualified in first aid. Get out there, visualize scenarios, practice it on your kids, teach your kids how to put you into a recovery position, because you never know, one day that might save your life, and that means they've got a mum or a dad around longer, or grandma or grandpa. You know, it is a life skill. First aid training, and I'm not a first aid trainer, but I maintain the highest level of first aid skill sets that I can as a civilian training provider, because I think that is due diligence and necessary to making sure I can provide enjoyable and safe activities here at Bushhall Australia Tracking, Survival and Bushcraft School. So please get out there and get yourself up to date with first aid. Make sure you know CPR, make sure you know what the current protocols are in your country about what you need to do in an emergency situation.